5 seconds. You're live. Good evening. Welcome to the Town of Auburn Planning Board meeting of Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. Now called to order at 7 p.m. This meeting is being recorded and broadcasted live by local access programming. Is there anyone in the audience that is recording the meeting tonight? Being none, would you all please rise and join us in a salute to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'd like to remind the audience, applicants, town administration, and each of the planning board members to please refrain from asking questions in regards to all matters discussed this evening without first being granted my consent. If anyone has anything to say, you're going to have to go to the podium, state your name, your address, and all that when we get to your item. First on the agenda tonight, A&R Auburn Mall, 385 Southbridge Street. Is there anyone here representing?
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Attorney Matt Eckel with Fletcher Tilton on behalf of the applicant. The applicant, Mall at Auburn LLC, is requesting your endorsement on the submitted A&R plan. Such endorsement would allow what is shown as Lot 1B currently to be divided into two separate lots, one identified as Lot 1B1 and one as Lot 1B2, which would contain the Macy's as well as the parking garages. The property itself is located at 385 Southbridge Street. The property is located within a local business zoning district as well as the regional mall overlay district and is shown on Assessor's Map 33, Lot 87. Following such endorsement, if it's given, both lots will still exceed the required frontage, with Lot 1B1 having 545 feet of frontage on Southbridge Street and 742 feet of frontage along Brotherton Way. Lot 1B2 will have 66 feet of frontage along Brotherton Way, which will still provide access to the site. Both lots will far exceed the minimum lot size, with Lot 1B1 having approximately 29 acres and Lot 1B2 having just over 7 acres. By way of brief additional background, we did go before the Zoning Board of Appeal last week because this did require front and rear yard setback for the Macy's and a front setback for the remaining portion of the building, and those variances were granted by the board. So with that, I'll pause and take any questions from the board.
Anyone from the audience have any questions? Anyone on the board?
I do. Just wondering if you can share with us the reason between separating the lot.
Sure. The very brief background is Macy's, in their lease, had an option to purchase, and they are pursuing that option now. The subdivision of the lot follows that exact lease line, and that's how it was written in the lease. So.
No other questions? First, may I have a motion to open the hearing?
You don't need to do that for an A&R. No. You're in for an A&R.
May I have a motion to approve as submitted? Glenn?
I'll make that motion.
Have a second? All those in favor, Glenn?
Aye.
Rakesh?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Aye.
Myself, Attorney's aye. It is a vote. You're all set.
Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda is applicant New Singular Wireless requesting site plan approval under 9.3.11 of the Auburn zoning bylaws for a wireless communication facility at 174 Leicester Street, Auburn, map 39, parcel 30. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Edward Parry. It's P-A-R-E. I'm an attorney at Brown Rudnick. I'm here representing New Singular Wireless, PCS LLC, which operates as AT&T. AT&T a few years ago responded to a request for proposals from the Auburn Water District. We ended up winning the bid to install or to lease property to install a wireless facility. We were before the zoning board last Thursday, I believe, to get our use approved and some dimensional variances approved to construct the tower at the site. The zoning bylaw also requires that we come here for site plan review, so that's why we're here this evening. We're proposing a 140-foot monopole tower in accordance with the zoning bylaw. We're going to access the property by Partridge Lane, which is a private right-of-way right off Leicester Street. We will be extending a gravel drive. It's about 60 feet long, 12 feet wide, tucking the tower back where, sort of to the southwest of where the water tanks are. We weren't able to attach the water tanks, so we did have to do a lease to build a tower facility. We'll be putting up a retaining wall to accommodate the tower. The tower itself will be in a 50 by 50 compound. It'll be fenced, strands of barbed wire to keep folks out. We have a 75 by 75 foot lease with the water district. Tower doesn't have to be lit. We're not doing a whole heck of a lot with respect to removal of soils, et cetera. As noted on the plan, stormwater will stay on the site. With that, I'd be happy to answer any specific questions that any board members may have or any concerns.
Before I get any questions, can I have a motion to open the hearing?
Oh, sorry.
I'll make that motion.
May I have a second? All those in favor, Glenn?
Aye.
Rakesh?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
Myself, John Regan, aye. It is now open. Is there anyone from the audience that has questions regarding the cell tower? Sure, please go up to the podium. Your name, your address, please.
Hi, my name is Penny Ellsworth, and I live at 12 Old Cart Road, and I am one of the abutters that would be affected by this cell tower. So I've written up a little document here that I'd like to read. So it says, I
you-
oppose this cell tower
Excuse me.
being built.
Could you move a little close to the mic? It's hard to hear you.
Sure, can you hear me better now?
Yes, thank
Could
you.
you hear my name?
No.
Okay, my name is Penny Ellsworth, and I live at 12 Old Cart Road, and I am one of the abutters that received notification, so I am living within 1/4 of a mile of this proposed cell tower. I oppose this cell tower being built for multiple reasons. From all of my research, I know that we cannot fight it based on health concerns, but I'd like to think that we are the type of community that can learn from other communities where these towers were put up and the effects were devastating on the residents who live near them. An example is Pittsfield, Massachusetts. Cancers, arrhythmias, heart attacks, strokes, and children waking up vomiting in their beds. Is that what you want for your children or grandchildren? Radio frequency radiation is an air pollution. In 2011, the World Health Organization classified that radio frequency radiation from cell towers as a Class 2B carcinogen. This tower would be very close to our water tanks, and I question how this would also affect the safety of our water supply. Erecting a cell tower would deface the area and lower property values. People spend their entire lives working hard to gain equity in their homes, only to have that stolen from them when a tower is erected nearby. Do we really need another cell tower in town? I have questions about safety measures. This is a proposed 140-foot tall tower, which is 40% taller than what is allowed in our bylaws. We have very strong winds. I've also read that these towers can start fires. If this tower toppled, would it hit the tanks or other structures? When are the repairs going to be done to these towers? Will this be disruptive to the neighborhood? We have bylaws in this town for a reason, and I am asking that you enforce these bylaws. I would also like to note that we have a lot of wildlife, including bear, bobcat, coyote, fox, deer, owls, hawks, and bald eagles, to name a few. A test was done for harmfulness. It was conducted in The Hague, and many birds died spontaneously when the tower was erected. Birds just fell dead from trees. And ducks in nearby ponds responded strangely too. I am bringing this to your attention as I also discovered a letter from the United States Department of the Interior dated February 7th, 2014. The department recommended revisions to the proposed procedures to better reflect the impact to resources from communication towers. This letter was in the regards to protected migratory birds, including bald eagles, in two significant ways. The first, by injury and death from collision with these towers, and the second, which involved impacts from non-ionizing electromagnetic radiation emitted from these towers. Bald eagles are protected under the Bald and Golden Eagle Protection Act. This report documents that studies have shown nest and site abandonment, plumage deterioration, locomotion problems, reduced survivorship, and death. This report documents that these effects were also seen in other wildlife as well. I have also seen studies out of France which state these towers have negative effects on mammals as well. I am asking that the members of this board stand up for the members of this community and say no to the cell tower. I am asking that you stand up and enforce our bylaws. Thank you. I have a copy of this report from the U.S. Department of the Interior, if anyone would like it.
Sure, bring it up, drop it off. Take it over this way. So, as far as the bylaws go, you're at the wrong,
Was that last week?
yeah, that's
I'm
the,
sorry, I had a conflict of interest.
we don't rule on zoning board
Yep.
laws or bylaws.
Yep.
We only rule on site plans.
Who rules on, I'm sorry, let me go back to the video. Who rules on the safety of these towers and, like, what's to prevent this from toppling? I mean, I read that, guy wires aren't allowed and all of these things, and the fires, and 500-gallon propane tanks. This seems a bit much in a residential area. I mean, would I be allowed to have a 500-gallon propane tank in my yard? I don't know.
Yeah, if you got a permit.
I think it's a legitimate question, but,
You get a 500-gallon tank in your yard if you have a permit.
ooh,
1,000-gallon tank if you want in your yard if you get a permit.
I'm just expressing my concerns,
Oh, I understand.
and I think the things that have happened in other communities, it's just devastating, and I really don't want to see that happen in this town and in my neighborhood.
Isn't there a tower up there now?
There are some antennas off of the water tanks, but I'm not aware of a tower.
Those are all cell phones.
I mean, I think that there is 4 or 5 antennas based on antennasearch.com.
That's all for cell phones, I believe. And maybe some of the town
Yeah,
communications with their radios.
yeah. Any questions for me?
Not for you. I pretty much got where you're coming from. I want to hear some more from the lawyer and the engineers. I have questions for them.
All right, well, thank you for letting me speak my concerns. I
If you
really
really want to
appreciate
take it up to the zoning board. And I don't know if you can put an appeal in for their ruling, giving them the permit. I don't know the logistics of that. But like I said, we only approve site plan stuff.
Okay,
No.
I'm sorry, I just,
That's okay.
I did not know, but I will be reaching out to the zoning board tomorrow.
Talk to the acting town manager, talk to the DPW director, talk to the head of the zoning board, Bob
Okay.
Tatro.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. Anyone else in the audience have any questions regarding the cell tower? Anyone on the board have any questions?
I do, Mr. Chairman. Is this definitely a cell tower? Is that what we're looking at here? or-
Yeah, it's a monopole for AT&T, so AT&T will attach its antennas to the top. They do provide coverage pursuant to their FCC license. One thing I did give you a copy of our emissions report. So we do comply with all of the FCC standards. We comply with the National Environmental National Environmental Policy Act, which deals with the Department of the Interior, fisheries, wildlife, historic, et cetera. our emissions are 1.3% of the maximum. I mean, I know that's not really in this board's jurisdiction, but, people have raised it, and you should know that you have a report that shows that we'll comply.
One more
We're at
question,
1%.
Mr. Chairman.
Yep,
Was it last week that you were at the
we were.
zoning board of appeals?
I was.
And did the subject of safety and those
It-
things come up as well?
It was. So the board voted to approve it unanimously. They imposed standard conditions to deal with it. I will say that the zoning board, we did provide the zoning board with a structural letter regarding the fall zone of the proposed facility. It will fall within the 75 by 75-foot lease area. That was all gone through as part of our application with the zoning board. So the use has been allowed, the location has been allowed, and we're here for site plan, as the chair said.
Go ahead, Rakesh.
So, thank you for the presentation here. A few questions. One is on the supply, the power supply. Is that coming in from the generator, or is there a National Grid direct supply coming in?
Did you say the power line?
Power line, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll bring in utilities from National Grid. We'll bring in both fiber and electricity. The generator is just for backup in times of outage. We do need to get a permit, as when we went through the development plan review with the staff, we do need a permit for the propane tank, which we will get. This is a FirstNet site, which I explained to the board, whereby we do want to harden the site so that there's backup. We have had discussions with the fire and police chief about utilizing the tower to get better public access coverage, better public safety coverage for police and fire. I understand they have a couple of antennas over on the water tanks. They're a bit low. So in talking with police and fire, we're trying to work out something where they can move those antennas to the tower eventually, attach to it, and install their own ground-based equipment there.
I see. And then, because you have an on-site generator, would that require a separate application, separate permit? Is that part of the?
Well, the power that puts out comes under the electrical inspector. The fuel will come under the fire department, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, but then, since they are siting a generator on site, would that require any additional permits beyond?
Yeah, he's getting an electric permit to put the generator in.
Okay.
And the
He has
fire
to get a
department.
fire department
department.
permit for the
Okay.
tank.
Then, on the access road itself, so it's a 12-foot wide driveway, correct?
Correct, gravel.
Is that okay with the fire department? Because wouldn't they want a 24-foot?
They didn't provide me any comments on this.
Would that be something we can request for, just to?
Ask again.
And then, a couple of questions on the maintenance plan itself. How long would this, what is the term for functioning of this tower? Is it a 20 years?
The lease would either, I can look to see what the lease is, but they typically run 20 to 30 years.
Okay.
So it'll be up there for a long time. The maintenance schedule, it's really, the tower doesn't do anything, it's just a piece of steel that gets erected. But when the carriers attach or change their equipment, or there are outages, they may visit the site. We basically say, early on, they might be up there a couple times a month. After that, it might be once a quarter. But they operate on their own. They're all monitored at a central switch location, so they know if there's a malfunction or if the site goes off air. Especially being a FirstNet site, it's important that it remain on air for public safety purposes and first responders. So, i.e. the backup power generator and the ongoing maintenance to make sure that it's functioning properly.
Okay. And then I looked at the report, the FCC compliance report. Now, the only mitigation is to put up the caution signage, correct?
Correct.
There is no, so the report does not identify any radio frequency impacts in the neighborhood? Is that, am I reading it right?
Correct. So we're allowed to go up to 100% of the maximum. We're at 1% for people down on the ground. The FCC basically measures at a 6-foot height, like a 6-foot human being. It would be at 1.3% of the maximum. That's what you're seeing in the report. The only area that's problematic, and the reason you have signage, is if you're standing directly in front of the antenna in close proximity. There's nobody that can get up there in front of that antenna, and anybody that would be climbing the tower would see the sign, and you'll see signage on the fence compound itself with emergency numbers to call to the AT&T Operations Center.
One last question. Thank you
Sure.
for all the answers there. Is there an FAA compliance required?
Yeah, so the tower does not have to be lit. See, some of this stuff went to the zoning board, so we did supply the zoning board with the FAA's information. The tower does not have to be striped and lit. It's not within a flight path. It's not a situation where it needs a light at the top. We do expect, in a late filing, we do expect Verizon Wireless will also seek to attach at some point. I think somebody may have mentioned a question or had a question about co-location. So there's clearly a need in the area. We have very little coverage. AT&T, Verizon has seen the application. They've sent a letter of intent to also co-locate, which is exactly what your bylaw is designed to do. If you put up one tower, get everybody on it. And the benefit runs to the, the public water agencies, so that the revenues derived from the lease payments actually go back into the community, albeit indirectly.
So just on the clarification on the FAA side, so there is, from the zoning board, there is no need for a beacon?
That's correct, and that was submitted to the zoning board. They have that as part of the public record.
Okay.
We didn't do that here because we weren't dealing with the use. We could certainly provide a copy of it, but Dr. Menard certainly has a copy from the zoning board file.
I think if you're under 150 feet, you don't have to put a light.
Okay.
The rule of thumb is 200. If you stay at 199, they typically don't have to be lit unless you're in a flight path. We're at 140, but we do have documentation to demonstrate that.
Thank you. No other questions?
Ron, any questions?
So you said you addressed the fall zone?
Correct. We did to the zoning board. So there's a fall zone letter in the zoning board packet with the engineer stamped letter that says if the tower is designed to bend over and it's not going to collapse from the base, and it will fall within the 75 by 75 leased area that we're entitled to.
What is the fall zone?
It'll stay within the 75 foot, so the tower will basically bend in half.
Oh, okay. It's not a 140-foot fall zone?
It's not a 140-foot fall zone, that's correct.
Break in half and then...
Oh, yeah. So you're going to have multiple tenants on this, not just you at AT&T?
It would be AT&T is the lead host. They'll attach to the tower, but Verizon became aware of the application, and they've submitted a letter of intent to us and to the zoning board, making it known that they will be interested in co-locating just below AT&T.
So if you put 3 or 4 more tenants, there's that much more radiation and other things that are going to come?
And everybody has to comply, so it's all additive. So if AT&T, and as I said, the calculations are done at 6 feet above, so the next set of antennas are going to be a little closer. They'll have to come to the town for their permits. They'll have to show that they comply. But these are really low power, and the maximum that we might get on the pole is 4. There's AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, and Dish operates in the market. There really aren't any other carriers. And public safety. I mean, we expect public safety, police and fire will probably attach.
And the height maximum was 100 feet, but you got a 40-foot variance from the
That's correct.
zoning board?
Correct.
Yep, take your time.
Yeah, the zoning board granted us, while you're looking, the zoning board granted us relief for the use, granted us relief for the height, granted us relief from the setback requirements, and there's also a quirky rule about being 2 miles away from another tower. Nobody can figure out why that's the case. We also got variance for that.
In your access road, that Partridge Hill Road,
Yep.
is the small driveway that goes up off Leicester Street up towards the towers?
That's correct. So there was an adjustment made. There was some, it's a private lane, so the water district did obtain additional rights to that easement so that AT&T could also use it. So it was kind of a quirky road at one point where it was a bit narrow. It was from a legal perspective, that's now been resolved, and we have full access.
I'm all set for now, John. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jason?
I'm all right for now. I'm all right for now.
Okay. The gentleman who stamped this, all these drawings, is he a structural engineer?
He's a civil engineer, so I don't think
Not a
he's,
structural
I don't think he's a structural engineer. The zoning board has,
Retaining wall.
what's that?
You do for your retaining wall.
I'm sorry, what was it?
You do for your retaining wall, you need a structural engineer.
He may be then, I'd have to,
You gotta be a structural engineer.
could be.
So what is the zone of influence around the tower?
You mean
As
coverage?
far as microwave pollution beyond, there's gotta be a certain radius above a certain height that, I'm just trying to understand.
Well, the signal goes out, do you want to take a shot at the, it's not so much the radiation, it's the coverage that goes out. The maximum is going to be at 1.78%, as I relayed, but the signal is going to travel much further than that, so that, you know, you may be,
Well, radio signals travel too, but I mean, there's no real radiation with those.
that's the, let me ask Martin to come up. Martin's our radio frequency engineer, and I'm glad I brought him.
Martin Levin, C-Squared Systems on behalf of AT&T. The power density that's calculated in the AMP report or EME report is the same signal as is providing the coverage. It's the power density of our service signal per centimeter squared. They're one and the same. The analysis that's done for that is the same, uses the same signal that was used to serve customers.
The reason I asked the question is, I see where the tower is gonna go, and I see this big round circle on sheet C1, the 500-foot radius, and there's homes included in that 500-foot radius. That's what's making me ask the question.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the question. I see the 500-foot radius. It's just a radius. We just put a radius on. Oh, boy.
The radius is there for a reason, so it's a 1,000-foot diameter, which is a quarter mile from one side to the other approximately. So what does that mean? It didn't mean anything, it wouldn't be on the plans.
Can I check the bylaw real quick? It may have asked us for it.
Sure.
Thanks.
The urban water district is not a town department. Auburn Water District is not part of the town of Auburn. It's a separate entity.
Correct.
Correct.
Correct. If they're getting rent from it, they should pass it down to the ratepayers, don't you think? If they're getting rent from the town, they should pass that off to the ratepayers,
Oh, yeah.
lower our bills.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't like to see that.
Could be visual effects. This is the radio. That's half mile.
Because I got them on for work, but they're not really. But they'll tell you, it's, when I force them into it, you get a little different answers on some stuff.
I think that's where we need to do. Who pays for it?
They went for the height. It's for the height. What's missing? The structure for the base for this freaking thing.
We want independent studies.
We could send this out for a peer review.
Huh?
We could send it out for a peer review.
While we are answering that,
I found it.
Okay.
If you take a look at section 9.3.11.2A, it requires a locus plan at a scale of 1:200, which shows all property lines, the exact location of the proposed structures, street landscape features, residential dwellings, and all buildings within 500 feet of the facility. 9.3.11.2A.
I don't think we have it.
You want me to share it?
No page numbers and stuff.
It's a bylaw.
Oh.
Check the bottom.
That's all it circles for.
We just comply with what they asked for. It has nothing to do with us. That I know.
Bottom one, Ron. Go ahead, Mark, if you have a question.
one.
Sure, go ahead.
Martin, I think on the report, the radio frequency report, can you help us understand this one, the antenna level chart, I think in section 3? I don't know if you're familiar with this, the exposure, RF exposure diagrams. I'm trying to understand what the RF radio frequency exposure is. I know I think we talked about the 1.3 max, but here I see everything in green.
I don't know what that is.
And this is what it's saying, the scale. So 5 to 100%. 100 to 500. Yeah, exactly. Well, this one is section 3 in this report. Page 8 and 9.
Eight, 9, you said?
Yeah. I think more so 9, because I think 9 has the impact on the radio frequency side? Or that's my assumption, if you can explain what that is.
My page 9 has the listing of all the antennas.
Oh, so I'm looking at this one. Sorry.
That's at the level of the AT&T antennas, the one with the green with the little three-petaled flower in the middle.
Yes.
That's as if you were at the AT&T antenna level, all the way out to grid size of 10 feet, so it looks like it goes out about 200 feet, as if there were a plane on which you could stand at the same level as the antennas.
So this is at the top of the antenna.
And going out from there,
I see.
140
I see.
feet above where you could actually stand.
What's the wing out? Is that the signal?
That's the power
All
density.
signals go like that?
That's the power density in a plane. Not exactly sure. I guess the software used will produce that plot as if you could stand 140 feet up in the air. That would be the power density that you would experience.
Where it's generated, I get that,
Yes.
but the actual communication wave, or whatever you want to call it, doesn't go like this, it goes like that.
Yes, it does.
So how far is it before, on that scale that it comes out and it widens out on an angle, how far is it away from the first house it's going to hit? Where does that kind of diminish enough so you're not hurting anybody or an animal or anything else?
According to the report, the maximum level you'll get at ground level at any distance from the tower is 1.3%, which is at,
1.3% of what?
of the maximum allowed
Radiation?
power density per centimeter squared, yeah.
So to put it in layman's terms, what is that compared to an X-ray?
X-ray is ionizing radiation, so there is no comparison. The frequency and power are completely different in frequency and much, much higher in power. X-rays can ionize, which means they can break chemical bonds. This is of a frequency, a power, that it's incapable of doing so.
Let me put it a different way. What's that compared to the cell phone when you hold it to your ear?
That's done by SAR, specific absorption rate. I'm not an expert at how to measure the densities that go with the phone. That's a more complicated, being right next to it,
In case
you
you don't know what
probably,
I'm driving at, I'm
Yeah.
driving at the point to let this woman know.
Yes.
If it's less than what I'm holding to my phone for a cell phone, then I should be okay. But if it's more than what I'm holding to the cell phone,
It's-
and I'm within that 6-foot radius,
it's much less. The maximum is 1.3% of what the FCC allows. Your phone up to your ear will be giving you more than the 1.3%. Exactly how much, I don't know, but it'll be much more than the site will. And the site only produces that 1.3% in the absolute worst-case conditions of everybody transmitting at the same time, which never happens, at full power, which doesn't happen. And that still only gets you to 1.3%.
I find that hard to believe. I find that totally hard to believe they all wouldn't be hit at the same time. You get a Mass Pike backup out here, AT&T will be lit up, Verizon will be lit up, T-Mobile will be lit up, it'll all be lit up, guaranteed.
Certainly they do, but they don't all the signal is transmitted by variations in power and phase. There are,
So AT&T's first, so they get the most power.
they change the power and the phase of the signal to carry the information to the user. Only when if it's always at full power when everything's crowded, then that particular source of information will be lost. That is constantly changed, and this report is based on the maximum it can reach. It does not stay there. I think the modulation has 64 different states. There are 8 different power levels, and it's always going back and forth among them. Most of the time it is
1.6 is the max. 1.3.
1.3. If they were all on at the same time and stayed there long enough to make a difference, which they don't, then you'd measure 1.3% or less at that particular location. Trees absorb it, the terrain can block it, buildings, everything. 1.3 assumes there is nothing in the way and that there is only free space loss, which is also yet two other worst cases that are not going to occur in a regular environment.
I understand that things do block it, but then how does it go through your wall of your house?
It attenuates it.
Huh?
It blocks some of it. There are
I
losses.
don't know about dead zones. I mean, just where the signal can't get down into a valley or whatever. I know all about that. Kind of know about that, but when you said it, the buildings block it, the trees block it, well, it goes through the trees because it goes through the trees to get to your house, and it goes through the wall of your house to get into your house if your cell phone's inside.
They block some of the signal, they attenuate it would be the more.
So if the output's 1.6 of the allowable by the FAA, right?
FCC.
Or FCC, excuse me. And what is it a quarter mile away? What is the percentage of the allowable a quarter mile away?
This is back on.
So while he's looking that up, I have some other things on the plans that I'd like to discuss, so we can have some time to look things up. On sheet Z10, you show the slab, the concrete pad detail for equipment pad. It states proposed 2 layers of 6x6 welded wire 4x4 welded wire mesh. So you show 1 layer and you don't say how thick the slab is. The slab has to be a minimum of 6 inches thick in order for it to handle 2 rows, because 2 inches from the top, 2 inches from the bottom, 2 inches in the middle. That drawing's not right.
What's it, this is on Z10?
Yeah, Z10, yep, revision 8.
So there are 2 layers.
It says 2 layers, but it doesn't show 2 layers. It shows 1. At 2 inches below the top. Where's the other layer? So that's 2 inches below the top, that tells me that's a 4-inch slab. So that all depends on how heavy the equipment you're putting on the pad. So I don't know how thick the slab is.
The slab's not a foot? Is it, that's not a,
Pardon me?
the foot there is not a,
Where do you see a
at
foot?
the, on the left-hand side?
No, that's a foot below the top.
Okay, and then there are
That's
2,
the height, that 1 foot is the height from the bottom of the haunch to your chamfer. That's not the thickness of the slab. Why are you perusing that one?
but I'll have to get you an answer for that, I don't know.
Okay. On,
I guess I just need to understand the question better.
So what he's asking is, right now you're showing a 14-inch slab, right? At the haunches, it's 14 inches thick, but from the top, you have 2 inches down, right, to the first layer of mesh. And then you have,
no depth after that.
yeah, well,
I don't see the 4, if you could just help me with the, where's the 4, we're on Z10, right?
yeah, Z10.
There's no thickness here.
Where's, I don't see the 14-inch.
I'll show you. 14 inches is showing. 2 inches he's talking about is this 2 inches plus that foot.
Oh, okay.
That's 14 inches.
Yep.
And this 1 foot here is from the bottom of your haunch, which that's what
Yep.
that's called, to your first layer of wire, which is all matched chamfer. Well, my first layer of wire is 2 inches from the top. Where's my second layer?
Okay, I get the question, thank you.
It's just a matter of updated drawing.
Yep.
The other thing that John is going to keenly bring up is there's no actual structural connection detail for the tower, at the base of the tower. You show us
There's no concrete base shown?
Yeah, so the tower will be, the foundation for the tower will be designed when we apply for the building permit. So we'll have a foundation design, the tower will be designed, and we'll get the building permit, but it's premature to do that now. We'd have to do soil samples and geotech. But it'll be done before the building permit, for sure. If we have to share that with the planning board, if that's typical for you to do, we absolutely will.
Absolutely.
The foundation for the tower itself.
Yeah, foundation.
any approval you get from us will be conditional on us seeing that.
Yep.
We have,
I'm not gonna
it'll meet
condition
code without
anything.
question. We will, and we'll provide a copy.
And then on,
I'm not gonna vote until I see that.
that's fine. And then on drawing S1.1 that shows the retaining wall. I'm getting an echo in here for some reason.
That's 1.1, got it?
Yep. The retaining wall on the left-hand side,
Yep.
that's a 14-foot wall. We have one layer of steel in it. I know it's number 8 bar, which is an inch thick, but it's only one layer. And it's not stamped by a structural engineer.
Assuming structural engineer is going to review the base of the pole, the tower.
Correct.
I would have the structural engineer actually sign up for this.
Well, I think I'm going to
Sure.
set this out for a period. So does anybody else have any other questions?
Just earlier, you touched on a little bit, you made a comment, or someone did, about the additional tenants on the tower.
Yep.
And you said that that would mean more money to the town or something like that.
Oh, access for
I'm
the
just
town.
curious what you meant by that.
Well, the more carriers that are on the pole, the more revenue. I don't know that it actually goes to the town, so I want to be a little bit careful.
It would
It
go
goes-
to the Auburn Water Department.
Right.
Which is a total separate entity.
Understood, and I said the water district, but it runs to the benefit, I heard the comment, it runs to the benefit of the,
No,
rate-
it's not,
So we're basically a tenant of the water district. We rent ground space basically for the 75 by 75 that I mentioned is our lease area. But there will be co-location, as I said, Verizon's likely to come on board, and they'll likewise pay rent, and the water district, not the town, the water district would receive some level of remuneration based on the agreement that we entered into with them.
Go ahead, Rajesh.
One last question, sorry.
That's all right?
I know we are going into the radio frequency report a lot, but so the band, the frequency band, is it above 1500 megahertz?
Susan, if I want to answer that question.
The frequency band, are we looking at, I mean, what is the tower serving? Is it 1500 megahertz or is it
Check
3500?
exactly. Generally, it is 700 megahertz, 850 megahertz, 1900 megahertz, 2100 megahertz, and I'd have to check the chart here to see how much higher we go than that. There's those four, yeah, 700, 850, 1900, 2100,
Okay.
and DOD 3450. That's on my page 9 with the chart of all the frequencies. So there are, there's 3500, let's see, 3450 and 3700 are the two,
I
the
see.
last two, yeah.
And then, so we talk about 1.3% max, right? The exposure. So what is that in is it milliwatt per centimeter square?
Yeah, the limit, the limits are different for each of the bands.
Yep.
Do a separate percentage for each band and then add them all up.
I see.
The limits for most of these are around, are they on the chart?
0.4 to 1, right?
0.2 to 1.
2 to 1, okay.
Yeah, 0.2 milliwatts per centimeter squared, up to 1.
So based on this study, what you're looking at is, we are looking at an exposure of 1.3% of of that band, of that 0.221 milliwatt per centimeter square?
You do the percentage for each one,
Yep.
and then you add them all together at the end, so there isn't one limit, each one has its own, but the percentages all add up.
No, it's helpful.
And that's, the percentages and limits are on page, there's a graph on page 21, where it gives some formulas for the limits, and then a little graph of limits versus frequency.
Maybe I don't have the full version of the report, but
Show us what page?
21, did you say?
is that the
21,
appendix? This one? This one, I see. Okay. I think this is 18, but yeah, it's fine. That's the one. That's the one. Thank you. Yeah, no more questions.
You have one more?
Yeah, I gotta think of it now. Oh, will there be access on this tower for the town emergency, police, fire, ambulance?
Yeah, so as I said, we have talked to police and fire about using the tower. We just need to come to an arrangement with the town. It wouldn't cost them anything, but they need to, either stay at the top of the tower or somewhere, down below the co-location opportunities. But we are willing to work with the town to get them, as I said, space on the tower and space on the ground for their switching equipment.
And would you be charging the town for that?
No.
Okay. Personally, I'd like to continue this after it goes through a peer review. So could I have a motion to continue this? Oh.
Can I speak? I have
Sure.
a couple of questions.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Vote on the peer review, because what exactly are we peer reviewing?
What's that?
Should vote on the peer review too.
Right, that's what I was going to do.
Yeah, that's what
I was going to ask for a motion for a peer review.
Is it for the, but what exactly am I putting out for peer review?
We'll discuss that later. I'll tell you that later. Go ahead.
Hi, I am by no means an expert on this radiation or anything like that, but even something as simple as the Wi-Fi in our homes also emits this RF radiation, so we are constantly being inundated with this radiation, and that is a Class 2B carcinogen based upon Bobby Kennedy's confirmation hearings. From what I have read, I have done a lot of reading through the Children's Health Network, Children's Health Defense, and they are working around the country because of the harms that are done to communities and residents that live in close proximity to these cell towers. One thing that I had read was the FCC set these limits for what is considered safe based upon a 1977 study, I think it was then, based upon how long it took to heat mice to the point where they no longer wanted to eat. I know that the Children's Health Defense has asked for updated material and numbers from the FCC. I do not think that those numbers are available, but I cannot speak to that. And if these numbers are acceptable, then why are people who live in close proximity getting sick? Children should not be waking up in the night and vomiting in their beds due to the radiation that these cell towers put off. I mean, all of you must have children and grandchildren, and I really think that this needs to be looked into further before this project is approved. So thank you I know you've had a lot of questions about the radiation, and it's very, very concerning. I have looked into what it would take to remediate my house, as I am in the process of slowly or quickly trying to wire everything in my home because I have had effects from the radiation from the Wi-Fi. So, and this is cumulative, because no matter where you go, everyone is being inundated with this radiation. We should be able to be safe in our homes. This is a place where you go to restore and rebuild. When you sleep at night, your bodies are restoring. And if you're being hit with this type of radiation, your body is not restoring. So I really think that we need updated numbers from the FCC as to what is considered safe.
That's beyond our purview.
I know, but I'm just telling you, I know you
That's
have
when you gotta
certain
get a hold of
things,
your-
and I know that you're
That's where you
trying.
get a hold of your congressman or your senator.
Oh, I'm on
and
it.
rep.
And I will, if this is approved, I will appeal. I personally will appeal.
Not to be a smart guy, you own a microwave?
I barely use it. It's unplugged
You ever stood in
99%
front
of the
it to watch
time.
it? You ever stood in front of it to watch it?
No.
Watch television?
Very infrequently, and to be honest, it is turned totally unplugged when I don't use it.
Okay, what about your computer?
Hardwired.
No, the computer still gives off radiation, whether you have it hardwired or not.
It's not the same.
Radiation.
It's not the same. I actually have a blanket, an RF shielding blanket, because I have had issues.
Digital watch?
Nope.
Just asking because
Yep, I have a radiation case from my cell phone, which I don't use very frequently, and it's kept at least 10 feet away from me.
just curious.
Yep.
But whether we have electronics or not, we're all exposed to radiation every day.
We are. There's all types of radiation, but from the cell towers and cell phones and different things, it's different, and the exposure is cumulative. Whether it's ionizing or non-ionizing, it still has detrimental effects.
Right, but as far as FCC limits, safe limits, all that, we have no purview here with that at all.
I understand that.
We're just here for, like I said, the site.
I understand, and I appreciate, you had brought up questions trying to alleviate my concerns,
I wanted to know.
but my concerns have not been alleviated.
I didn't think it would be, but I just wanted to get some answers so we were all kind of,
Right, correct, thank you.
no problem. Anything else?
No, that's all, thank you.
So,
I'm going to make a motion that this proposal be peer-reviewed by Graves Engineering.
or whoever.
Can I suggest that we also add peer review of the
Electronics.
radio frequency report under
We
that?
don't have any jurisdiction over that.
See.
What's that?
Is that Board of Health?
FCC.
FCC?
We don't have any jurisdiction over radio frequencies.
No, I'm saying, like, we can't do an independent report?
We can't ask for a peer review on this?
You're asking for Graves or a peer review, yeah, that's pretty standard, but to analyze the radio frequencies, I don't even know where to go. And this board's only purview is the site plan, not the radio frequency.
If I may, what the peer review is for, I can't hear the discussion, but what is the peer review for?
I'd like to review the structural drawings, the structural drawings that are here.
Oh, you're going to review the drawing, okay.
I'd like to review the structural drawings to make sure, that just because there's a couple little errors in here, I'm not going to sit here
Fair enough.
and go through all that.
And I think what we were also wondering if we can send this out for an independent study on the radio frequency side, but based on what Adam's saying, we don't have the jurisdiction there.
What are the resources?
We don't have the right, I just need an answer. We don't have the right to ask for peer review on everything they presented to us
Health
tonight.
Department?
We just take whatever they said to heart.
The radio frequencies and all that is governed by the FCC. We can't review their regulations, their rules.
In the zoning,
Kinds of
in the zoning board,
Things that are coming from it.
Well, the zoning board is basically for your height.
well, it's not, it's for the use also. So we're dealing with the site here, we demonstrated that we comply for the use, we comply with the zoning bylaw with respect to the use of the tower and the antennas. So if you want to look at have a peer review for this site plan, I have no issue with that. We'll undertake that, obviously, that's well within your purview, but it would have been up to the zoning board if they had concerns with the emissions, to deal with the emissions that runs to the use. Just to reiterate, it's at 1.3% of the maximum. And
I understand that, no.
I know the frustration, but
No, I think,
the FCC is where you need to go if you want to change that.
no, I understand that. I think the only, thought for me is, we have, we don't have an independent report, right, from on the radio frequency side. It would be ideal to have a report from an independent agency that's outside of, your control.
And that would have been the purview of the zoning board to do that when we applied for our use relief.
The one thing, I agree, peer review for the structural, but it just seems funny to me, we don't have a plan for the tower. You guys are telling me it folds in half, this and that. I got nothing that says that. How do I?
Well, we can provide the letter that we submitted to the zoning board. It was part of the packet to the zoning board. We have no issue with you reviewing it, but I could tell you that the foundation has not been designed yet because we're not at the point of a building permit. We're just in zoning and,
If the base isn't designed, that tells me the tower's not designed.
the tower is probably not designed yet.
It's not.
I'd have to look at what we filed. I know that Sabre is the tower manufacturer. We have a proposed design, but that'll change once they do the soil testing, that'll change. Have we done soil testing yet? Do you know? No. We're too early in the stage of things to know what the foundation's going to look like. We don't know what the soil is underneath, but when we come for our permits, it will be designed to code, and it will satisfy a structural engineer, or if you do, your building official will provide full foundation details, and if the planning board wants a copy, we have no issue with it. It will comply with the code, without question.
John,
Yes, sir.
so you have one design for the tower, more or less, that splits or breaks at some point for whatever reason. And then when you get the permit, you go into the ground and test to see what the earth is like and what you need to do for a foundation.
Correct, so we'll have a
So they're all
tower.
all the towers will be the same. but
No,
they're gonna-
no, they're not the same.
No?
So the tower will be designed based on the parameters that we provide. Likewise, the foundation will be designed to support that tower. So it will all be done through engineering and structural engineers that will satisfy the building official, but if the planning board wants that also, we have no problem with it.
Yeah, there's no standard tower because it depends on where you put them.
Well,
Wind load, all that stuff.
That's correct. And what the loading is like, so you could build a tower that just has public safety on it, you'll see that it's a bit more flimsy. It's not going to have the same steel content, it's not going to have the same foundation, but this will be for a load of, I think we have 3 carriers on the pole to support all 3 carriers, public safety.
And assuming future tenants.
So,
And your load will also assume future tenants.
Correct. So the tower will be designed for at least 3 tenants, plus the public safety folks, we don't even know what equipment they're interested in installing, whether it's a whip antenna, microwave dishes, and typically, they don't know yet. They go out, they get funding, they come back to us and say, we need a microwave dish, we need 2 whip antennas, and we deal with that.
2 more questions.
Shoot.
From me. One is this whole project going to be under American Steel and Iron, where you only get American steel? Rebar, steel for the tower, all your components, if they're made of steel, got to be made in America?
I have no idea.
That'd be interesting to know. And secondly, can you make it look like anything but a freaking microwave tower? I've seen them made them look like pine trees. They're not attractive, but they're,
They look awful, frankly. They don't maintain well, and they look like a
Yeah, but-
big, full of brush sticking out, one of those
True.
toilet bowl cleaners.
but it looks better than a microwave tower. It's not much better, but a little better.
Well, listen, they're not invisible. We love the technology. That's what drives this. All of the consumers, everybody that has a cell phone here wants to, have maximum coverage, and it's part of the infrastructure. Telephone poles at one point weren't
Oh, I
terribly
know.
attractive.
They're still here.
They are still here. No better solution yet.
Would you make that motion for the peer review?
Yeah.
Wait, no one seconded it. Just redo it.
I'd like to remake my motion for a peer review from Graves Engineering to review just the structural components as presented to us.
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Glenn?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Aye.
Myself, Johnny, aye, it is a vote. So this has to go out for peer review.
What's the
So
time, did you say it's Graves? Could you send me the,
We have a couple of them, so he can give you whoever we use.
what's our timing?
It's not a lot, it's probably just a couple of weeks.
Maybe,
What's that?
maybe.
I can continue this till our next meeting.
Okay.
And then if you get it back, good, but you're already on the agenda. If not, we'll go to the next meeting.
Yep.
Fair enough?
Do you meet every 2 weeks or every month?
2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
Second and fourth Tuesday.
Let me just make sure I'm,
3 weeks?
John,
Yes, sir. 5/13 is our next meeting.
John, so we can't ask for the review on the numbers and the radiation and all that stuff? That would have to be the zoning board to
No.
ask that? Or no one can ask?
No, you gotta go to the FCC, you gotta go to your state rep, you gotta go to your state senator.
did you say the next, oop, I'm sorry.
5/13?
5/13?
5/13.
I'm in, I have another hearing. Can we continue to the following?
Which would be the 27th?
27th would be great. It'd give us enough time too, I guess.
Can I have a motion to continue this to our May 27th hearing?
I move to continue this to our May 27th meeting.
I'll
May I have
second
a
it.
second? All those in favor, Glenn? Rakesh?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
Myself, Jeremy's an aye, it is a vote.
Thank
See you on the 27th.
5/27, thank you.
Next on the agenda is modification to 838 Southbridge Street, which is that the dental office? Oh, yeah, sorry. Applicant Arbor Recycling requesting site plan approval under section 9.4.1 of the Auburn zoning bylaw for warehouse at 4749 Rockland Road, Auburn, Mass., map 17, parcels 177 and 224. They have so lately asked for a continuance till our next meeting, which would be May 13th. May I have a motion to continue this to our May 13th meeting?
John, it just,
I think, are they...
What?
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Once again, Attorney Matt Eckel with Fletcher Tilton. We apologize for the late notice. We did just hear back from Graves over the weekend, and we do anticipate some changes based upon our land disturbance permit application, and that's why we requested the continuance. I would just say for the record, we were hoping to get it continued to May 27th to ensure we're fully ready to go forward at that hearing.
You can let your engineer know there's a lot more wrong with those plans than land disturbance. A lot more. I've reviewed them. I'm not a PE, but I know it's right and I know it's wrong. There's a lot to be desired. Maybe they'll correct that with Graves' review, I don't know. And the town's review. You gotta satisfy the DPW director as well.
Understood.
Okay?
John,
Yes,
do we have to allow the continuance?
they requested it. May I have a
I
motion?
move that we continue this hearing to May 27th meeting?
May 13th.
No, they asked for May 27th.
May 27th?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, May 27th meeting? I'll second. May I have, all those in favor? Glenn? Aye. Rakesh? Ron?
Aye.
Aye.
Myself, Jeremy's aye, it is a vote.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Modification to 838 Southbridge Street. Is that the dental office? Yeah, 838 Southbridge Street. This is the dental office that came before us. It's got to be 4 years ago now. It's been a while.
Please state your name and residence.
My name is Imad Zurain from Develop Zurain. I'm a professional civil engineer. As the chair stated, we came before you back in 2018, 2019 for a site plan for a dental office with 8 parking spaces. Through COVID, it took a while for the office to open up. It's been open for about a year now. is lacking some parking. We're looking to add 2 more parking spaces off the existing parking with a curb cut off Tinker Hill Road, basically to use it for employees, which the employees, they typically leave all at the same time, so we're showing 2 parking spaces, but they probably park back to back, probably fit 4 spaces in that spot. So we're basically asking for a minor site plan amendment, modification for the originally approved plan.
Any questions? Anybody have any questions? Glenn? Rakesh? Ron?
No.
Jason? I just got one. I mean, why didn't you just connect the 2 parking lots together instead of having a separate one with an entrance on Tinker Hill Road?
There's a grade change. If you look at the grade, there's about 3 feet grade change, 2 or 3 feet, so basically cost.
6.
So then the employees would...
Right now,
I
the
see.
parking slopes down, it's lifted up in that
Then
area.
the employees would park in the back and then walk up Tinker Hill Road to get...
I think the owner is looking to put a set of stairs, to the existing parking, like some kind of a wooden stairs or something. It's, for the employees.
So the reason for the pervious brick is so you don't increase your impervious area.
Because we're in a watershed protection, so the water just
Get it.
percolates right through.
Does anybody have any objections? Any questions? May I have a motion to approve as submitted?
I'll make that motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Glenn?
Aye.
Rakesh?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Jason, aye. Myself, Jeremy's an aye. It is a vote. You're all set. And then we had the decision of 416 Southbridge Street, which we all signed, correct?
Not for Rakesh.
Okay, so there's no meeting minutes, there's no unforeseen business by the chair. Town planner update?
Just as it stands, there's nothing for the May 13th meeting, so just, I'll let you know if they'll have a meeting or not.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
At the moment, there's no hearings scheduled for May 13th. We may or may not have a meeting, I'll let you know if anything comes up.
Adam, on the entertainment center, that vote's all done. We voted that. And when I asked about a beer and wine only, they said they wanted full liquor, but that's up to the Board of Selectmen. It's not
correct.
to do with
Not
us.
to us. Anything else, gentlemen?
Can I just ask about the June meeting schedule? On the website, I see that the meetings are the 9th and the 23rd, which are Mondays. Is that a typo, do you think?
Yeah,
So they would normally should be the 10th and the 24th then?
10th and 24th is going to be pending because I'm away that week, so we'll see if
Okay,
it's pressing that week, but yeah, that's just a typo.
okay, great, thanks.
Anything else, gentlemen? May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, Glenn?
Aye.
Rakesh?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Jason, myself, Jeremy's an aye. It is a vote. The meeting is now adjourned.
For you,